illusion begins with confidenza, certainty that what we see is what is real. But illusions are fragile. They tremble the moment awareness rises, and sometimes all it takes is a single question to make the entire spell collapse. Illusions do not shatter all at once. They crack. A line appears subtle, delicate, a moment when something inside you whispers, "This doesn't feel true." And that single whisper becomes the doorway to clarity. When the illusion breaks, you don't see a new world. You finally see the old one as it always was. The truth was never hidden. You were simply looking through a lens coated with fear, ego, and unexamined stories. Your mind has been writing stories since the day you were born. Stories about who you are. Stories about what the world is. Stories about what can and cannot be trusted. Most people never question these stories, and so the story becomes the cage. Fear thrives in the dark, but when awareness rises, fear loses its volume. It becomes smaller, quieter, like a child who realizes the shadow on the wall was never a monster. Illusions do not only distort the world, they distort you, your reactions, your desires, your fears, your identity, all shaped by a self built from unchallenged assumptions. When the spell breaks, the old self dissolves like dust in water. There comes a moment très profound when you step outside the story entirely. You see your thoughts not as truth, but as passing clouds. You see your fears not as warnings, but as echoes. You see yourself not as the narrator, but as the witness. The greatest illusion is separation. Separation from meaning. Separation from purpose. Separation from the source that sustains every heartbeat. But when the veil thins, you recognize a truth older than all stories. You were never alone, not for a single breath. Vision begins in the mind, but clarity begins in the heart. The mind analyzes, the heart perceives. The mind seeks certainty. The heart seeks meaning. And when the two align, illusion falls silent. Truth is not sharp. It does not wound. Truth is medicine. It heals wounds that illusions kept open. When truth enters, you breathe deeper, stand taller, feel lighterous. If your soul finally remembers what your mind forgot. Every illusion protects an identity. The victim, the abandoned, the unworthy, the unforgiven. But when truth enters, these identities collapse not violently, but naturally, like shadows disappearing at sunrise. As illusions break, the mind does not surrender easily. It fights back with doubt, with fear, with old arguments that once kept you small. This is the mind's last defense, a desperate attempt to preserve the story it spent years constructing. Do not fear the storm. Stand still. Breathe. Awareness itself is stronger than the illusion. Storms only destroy what was never rooted. What is real cannot be shaken. Truth is patient. It does not shout. It does not force. It arrives like dawn, quiet, certain, transforming everything without haste. The moment you stop running, truth finds you. To break an illusion is not an act of pride, it is an act of surrender. Surrender of ego, surrender of fear, surrender of the false story you once believed defined you. In surrender, clarity begins. The greatest miracle is not finding truth, but discovering you were never far from it. The path was always there. The signs were always there. You simply needed eyes that could finally see. When the illusion breaks, your vision changes. You no longer see the world through fear, memory, or ego. You see with a deeper clarity that reveals meaning in every breath and purpose in every step. This is not the end of illusion. It is the beginning of seeing reality. Illusions do not die easily. Even after awakening, the old lie returns softly, politely, convincingly. It whispers, "Come back." The old story was safer. But awareness, once awakened, cannot be deceived again without consent. Pain echoes, not because it is still happening, but because the heart remembers the shape of the wound. Breaking the spell means hearing the echo without believing the wound is still open. The mind returns to darkness for the same reason a traveler returns to familiar roads, not because they are better, but because they are known. Awakening requires courage, the courage to walk toward what is unfamiliar, yet true. Fear wears many masks. Anger, certainty, cynicism, withdrawal. But when illusion breaks, fear becomes visible not as an enemy, but as a child begging not to be hurt again. False strength is brittle. It shatters under pressure. Real strength is quiet-rooted, not in being right, but in being real. Breaking the spell is discovering that truth needs no armor. The greatest confrontation is not with the world, but with yourself. To look into the mirror with nothing to hide behind, nothing to distract you, nothing to blame. This is where illusions die and authenticity is born. When the illusion falls, you begin to see what truly matters, not achievements, not appearances, not validation, but sincerity, presence, meaning, truth. The essentials were always simple. It was illusion that made them complicated. Awakening is a return not to weakness, but to simplicity. Simplicity in thought, simplicity in desire, simplicity in heart. The world becomes quieter. The mind becomes lighter. The soul becomes clearer. Truth is not an event. It is a companion. It walks with you in your choices, your relationships, your silence. When truth becomes familiar, illusion becomes unthinkable. When you align with truth, the universe responds, not with miracles, but with clarity. Paths open, burdens lift. People who belong to your story begin to appear. This is not magic, this is alignment. Freedom is not the absence of difficulty. It is the absence of illusion. When the story ends, when the fear dissolves, when the ego falls silent, freedom tastes like breathing for the first time. There is a light that does not blind, a light that clarifies. It does not demand, it invites. It does not overwhelm, it reveals. This is the light the awakened heart recognizes, the light of truth. There comes a moment when you simply know, not intellectually, not emotionally, but deeply. A knowing that settles in the chest like warm light. A knowing that says, this is real. This is true. This is who I am. Illusion survives on resistance. Truth survives on surrender. When resistance ends, peace begins, not the peace of stillness, but the peace of alignment. Life after awakening is not perfect. It is honest. It is grounded. It is luminous. You face the world not with illusion, but with presence. When illusion fades, what remains is astonishingly simple. Awareness, responsibility, clarity, compassion, truth. The essentials were always here. You simply see them now. And beyond every truth, beyond every illusion broken, stands the one who authored all things. The one whose knowledge is not distorted by perception, whose guidance is free from illusion. To return to truth is to return to him, to the clarity that was always calling you. This is the moment the spell breaks completely. The mirror is clear. The mind is quiet. The heart is open. The soul is awake. You step forward not as the person shaped by illusion, but as the one revealed by truth. This is freedom. This is clarity. This is awakening. The spell is broken. The journey begins. Thank you for joining this journey. If this resonated, consider sharing it and subscribing for more.